So I want to go back to young Ginger Curtis. You had to repeat the third grade over a couple of times. Tell me just overall, having to experience repeating the third grade over like that, psychologically, mentally, what was that experience like?
It was really hard. I felt stupid. I felt really, really sad. I felt that I had ambition in my heart, even as a little girl, and things that I wanted to do, and I felt ashamed.
Ginger Curtis is the founder and CEO of Urbanology Designs, an internationally acclaimed, award-winning interior design firm headquartered in Dallas-Fort Worth, and serving clients across the country and beyond.
And so by the time I made my way to public school, I was constantly trying to hide from the fact that I had a learning disability.
So one of the words that you mentioned was stupid. So would you say that that was your narrative about yourself? That
Oh, a million, up into my adulthood.
Okay.
Ginger is a celebrated author, keynote speaker, and thought leader in the field of neuroaesthetics, championing the idea that intentional design has the power to transform not only our environments but our emotional well-being.
You start Urbanology Designs. I want to know what things got broke off of you, and moving forward, what was your mindset in terms of dyslexia? Yes.
And I had a very limiting belief because I believed at that time that I was stupid. And because of that, I wasn't really capable of growing myself, growing my business. And it was this conversation of where I'm taking you and where you're going to go. I'm sorry, honey, but you can't believe that because that is not the truth. And there is nothing stupid about you.
Yes.
Believe.
Like you started, that's your camera. If you want to look right into that camera, go ahead.
You just need to take that first step. There is breakthrough, and God rewards and honors faithfulness.
Yes.
Stay tuned as we gain access to an exclusive tour of Ginger's design firm and discover how her dyslexic mind allows her to enrich clients' homes all around the world.
On paper, your life doesn't make sense and it doesn't add up.
Okay, stop. Now you're going to really make me cry.
Ginger, with your brilliant dyslexic mind and being a thought leader in neuroaesthetics, I want you to look at this picture and just tell me what you see and how it makes you feel.
Depressed. It's sad. It feels like it's void of emotion and thoughtfulness, and it's I don't feel scared. I don't feel triggered, and I'm not scared or fearful of my life, but I'm blue, I'm down, I'm sad, I'm depressed. I don't want to be in this space. There's no natural light. There's no views of nature. There's no greenery. It feels very sort of manufactured and produced. I could talk about how sad this makes me feel.
Okay, now I want you to look at this one and tell me what you see and how you feel.
Okay.
And I started to bring some tissue too because I see you already.
I know. I'm such a dork when it comes to neuroaesthetics. So I see texture, and I see sunlight, and I see the sky and clouds and greenery out the windows, and I see cozy seating area by the fireplace, and this feels much happier and bright, and a place that I would much rather sit and have a lovely conversation and cup of tea.
Okay, and by the way, both of these pictures were from Ronald McDonald houses.
Okay, stop. Now you're going to really make me cry. Wow. Because that first one, that's kind of what it felt like when I stayed at the Ronald McDonald house all those years ago, and it was so depressing.
And I know that's kind of how your journey kind of started in neuroaesthetics.
It started at the Ronald McDonald house when Avery was diagnosed, and we stayed in this really depressing place, and it was, I was already sad. I'm already fighting for my daughter's life, and you're not thinking about your environment, but at the same time, it wasn't at my conscious awareness, it was in my subconscious, but I felt it.
Gotcha.
I felt sad, I felt blue, and wow, no wonder I got emotional when I looked at that.
I'm trying to do my research. So the reason why I want to start with that, because I want to showcase your genius. And I'm looking at your physiology, and you're smiling, and you're upbeat, you're bright, right? But that's not where you started.
No.
So I want to go back to young Ginger Curtis, and let's just zoom in when you were in the third grade, right? You had to repeat the third grade over a couple of times. I want to speak to that Ginger Curtis. Tell me just overall, having to experience repeating the third grade over like that, psychologically, mentally, what was that experience like?
It was really hard. I felt stupid. I felt really, really sad. I felt that I had ambition in my heart, even as a little girl, and things that I wanted to do. And I knew that I didn't quite fit in. My younger siblings were far advanced in their level of reading and writing. And I remember my little said I was homeschooled for a number of years, and that was part of the problem and why I went undiagnosed for so long. And my dad would have the dry erase marker, and he'd be writing run, and she would be behind him, like sounding out the words without making noise, because she was trying to help me. And this was my little sister.
Okay.
And so, I felt sad, and I felt stupid, and I felt ashamed. And so by the time I made my way to public school, I was constantly trying to hide from the fact that I had a learning disability. And back then, of course, there was zero support.
Exactly.
I was diagnosed at the Scottish Rite Hospital, but other than a diagnosis, there was no support in the school system or for my parents. That people did not know and understand what dyslexia was at the level that we do now.
So one of the words that you mentioned was stupid. So would you say that that was your narrative about yourself? That
A million up into my adulthood.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So model homes, usually one of the purpose for a model home is to showcase the finishes, the floor plans, right? Your dad, when you were young, modeled entrepreneurship in front of you. So the question I have for you, did you want to be an entrepreneur when you were young? And if so, talk about the juxtaposition between wanting to be an entrepreneur because you saw your dad do it, and then on the other side, failing in school.
Yeah. I think of all of the 7 kids, there's 4 girls and 3 boys in that order. I'm the second oldest, and I definitely aspired to be like my dad, and I really admired him, and I definitely put him on a pedestal. And I think in some ways, seeing him as an entrepreneur kind of gave me hope, because I thought, well, my dad's kind of like mover and a shaker and in the trenches and doing all these things. And I saw a very unconventional approach to business. And so I thought, like, maybe that's a path for me. I still didn't know how. I still didn't necessarily feel capable. But my dad, he had multiple businesses. And I remember one day there was a particular product that he was selling, and I was in his warehouse, and I was helping to label bottles, and I had to smooth out the bubbles and make it perfect. And I took some home with me, and I went door to door selling that product. That was my dad's. And I came back home back in that day with a couple of checks that were written out. And my dad just looked at me shocked, and he was like, how did you produce this? And I said, well, that's what you do. I said, I just went door to door until I sold them all, And I'll never forget how my dad looked at me in that moment and how I felt. And then I also remember thinking, well, I mean, why are you so surprised? You do it. Why shouldn't I be able to do it?
So it seemed like at the same time, he saw something in you that he didn't know was there, and you organically seemed like you had something in you that came out from him, once again, modeling entrepreneurship in front of you.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. So you were, like you said, you were homeschooled, you were struggling with reading, you were diagnosed with dyslexia. You transitioned to public school, but you were still struggling. During this time, you created what's called workarounds. We all know about workarounds. It's dyslexic, workaround strategies, tactics. I did the same thing when I was in school. And for me, having to struggle so much, one of the things that it did for me, it instilled in me a level of resiliency.
Yeah.
For you, I want to know, when you had to struggle so much in school, because and you can probably, you probably will agree with me when I say this. When you're dyslexic and in school, it feels like everybody else has 2 skates and we only have 1, and we're just trying to keep up. So I want to know from you is, when you struggle so much in public school, what thing or things were instilled inside of you?
I think resilience, like you said, resilience and perseverance. And at the time, being on one skate, and you just feel, I never thought, woe is me. I never thought this isn't fair.
Right.
I internalized all of it and thought everybody else is normal and I'm not.
Yes.
And of course, at that age, in elementary, middle school, all you want to do is just fit in. You do not want to stand out. And so I developed ways of so-and-so, so-called fitting in.
Right.
And I would, every day for maybe an hour, there was a specific same time every single day after lunch that I would be dismissed out of the classroom to go to the portable buildings.
I went to the resource room. It was called the resource room when I was in school.
Okay, we called it content mastery.
Okay.
And the kids, all the kids in the school said, they labeled it like the dumb kids room.
Yep.
It's
Yep.
where all the dumb kids went.
Yep.
And so, third grade Ginger was not going to be labeled dumb. If I felt that about myself, that was one thing. I was not going to put that out in the world, and I at least knew that. And so I would always quietly dismiss myself from class, go to the portables. I would always take inconspicuous routes, so none of my friends would see me in the hallway. And I would come back, and they would ask me, Ginger, where do you go every single day after lunch? And I said, do you want me to tell you the truth? I have some special privileges. And I get to go to the teacher's lounge, and I get to go to the assistant principal's office and help with this and to do things. And I'm given added responsibility that you guys just don't get. I don't know what's going on with you, but I get to do. And I just created this whole false narrative so that nobody knew my struggle. And part of that helped me because even if they knew I was dyslexic and I went to the so-and-so, the dumb building, that didn't help me survive elementary and middle school. And so I created a narrative that sort of masked my struggle, and it was one of my ways of getting through some of those grade school years.
So I just want to for a second, fast forward to the present day. You talk about resiliency. Obviously, you probably have an incredible work ethic. Just talk about, once again, just having a struggle with dyslexia. How does it help you now?
Oh, my gosh. Oh. Well, I had a major breakthrough in my first year of becoming an entrepreneur and starting my business. And because of that breakthrough, I now 100% see dyslexia as a superpower, as a creative ability, as my mind works to solve problems in a very unique way. And I always say it's like, I remember, my brain would hit like a roadblock, and you just keep hitting that roadblock. But what the dyslexic mind does is you hit it, and then all of a sudden, and it's a spider web of problem solving. You go under it. You take dynamite to blow through it. You get a pickaxe, and you climb around the side of it. You parachute over it. You pole vault, whatever you have to do. But what happens is your mind creates these very creative ways of getting around challenges. And so when I hit a problem today, I have 5, 6, 7, 8 ways to solve a problem that are immediate, that are fast, that are creative, and that are often better than just looking at it and conventionally saying, what's the best way to do that? My mind works quick. And wow, it serves me every day. And it's not limited to problem solving.
Right.
It goes beyond that to levels of creativity and things like that, but that's a very obvious sort of business application.
So you made it through high school, you graduated, but then when you got to college, some of those workarounds and tactics didn't work because you had a problem with math class, correct?
Yep.
Okay. So you had a problem with math. I did too. I struggled in math. You wanted to get a degree in business? Okay. So before I ask the question I really want to ask you, on a scale of 1 to 10, 1 being you really didn't care if you got a degree, 10 being like I have to get one, what would you rate yourself at?
A 9.
Okay. Now, this is my own personal observation, but you just correct me if I'm wrong. Especially because hindsight is 20/20, and I'm looking at your situation from the outside looking in. Correct me if I'm wrong. Did you want a college degree because you wanted the education, or did you want a college degree because you wanted validation?
Validation. I feel like it was needed in society, especially back then. And there's pros, and I don't believe it's for everybody. And now that I have a bajillion thousand kids, and I can look at what route they need to go that serves them, but I needed and wanted the validation that I was good enough.
That's what I was
to
looking for.
to do the thing.
Yes.
I felt like I had the capacity to move mountains. I had the will. I had the passion, the gumption. I had all of those things. And there was this stirring and this wrestling in me, and I knew I could just go for it. But society told me that I was limited and that I couldn't.
Right.
And I needed to check these boxes
Yes.
in order to be successful.
Okay.
And it was always really hard and really humiliating when I would get in social circles and everyone would talk about what college they graduated from in these big schools.
Yep.
And of course, I didn't go to big school. I went to Tarrant County College, and then I couldn't even graduate, county college. And I was so embarrassed and so ashamed that I couldn't make my way through school because I took remedial math 3 times and I could never pass it. And that was like step 1.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yes,
Of like,
I know what you mean.
and that was quite devastating for me.
Okay. Let's fast forward. You got married to your husband, Eric. You all have total of 5 children. But the entrepreneurial spirit calling still kept tugging at you. Ginger. So you start Urbanology Designs, your design firm, and on one of your first projects, there's a electrician. And through conversation, he tells you that he's dyslexic, and it's one of the best gifts that God ever gave him.
Yes.
Then the next day, there's a carpenter,
Yes.
and he tells you he's dyslexic, and it's one of the best gifts that God has ever given him.
Yes.
You've stated in other podcasts that God broke some things off of you. I want to know what things God broke off of you, and moving forward, what was your mindset in terms of dyslexia?
So going back to those conversations, I remember thinking to myself, lower your voice. Like, why are you, there's people around. Like, don't say
Right.
that you're dyslexic
Right.
out loud. You've got to hide that.
Yes.
And it was the opposite. They were just belting it out like it was, and I was just enamored. And I had all these mixed emotions. And it was the beginning of God really wanting to settle something. And I think we rise and we fall to the expectations we set for ourselves.
Yes.
And I had a very limiting belief because I believed at that time that I was stupid. And because of that, I wasn't really capable of growing myself, growing my business. And I wanted to, but I was believing this lie. And I felt like it was a moment between me and the Lord. And it started with these conversations with these contractors where God needed to get a hold of my heart and say, Ginger, I need to ask you a question. Are you stupid? Do you believe the lie that you're stupid? And
Yes.
and so he did this whole work in my heart, and it happened in a relatively short amount of time. And it was this conversation of where I'm taking you and where
Yes.
you're gonna go. I'm sorry, honey, but you can't believe that because that is not the truth, and there is nothing stupid about you.
Yes.
In fact, what I've created you to be and who I've called you to be, you cannot go to that destiny in that place with this limiting belief, and we need to deal with it right now. Oh, man.
That's amazing.
And the following year from that point, we doubled our revenue in our
Wow.
business. And I saw things just left and right just fall off. And I just saw massive breakthrough. I'm not talking like little bitty incremental things. And that's a part of life too.
Yes.
This was like massive, immediate breakthrough in my life. And it was the first time, and with just this one experience where I started to believe quickly
Yes.
that I was not stupid.
Yes.
And in fact, I had a gift.
Yes.
And I started becoming really excited about the way my mind works. And that changed everything.
To me, hearing that story, when God broke things off of you, it reminds me of the story where God fed the 5,000 men, and not to mention the women and the children. And he took the fish and the 5 loaves of bread, and he blessed it, and then he broke it. And it wasn't until he broke it that it multiplied.
Yeah.
So it wasn't until your situation where God broke things off of you that you multiplied, and your business just, and there was 12 baskets of leftovers, because God can do exceedingly abundantly above all we can ask or think. So,
That's right.
Yeah.
100%.
Studies show that if a parent is dyslexic, that our children have up to a 60% chance of being dyslexic. You have the pleasure of raising a dyslexic daughter.
Yeah.
After everything that you've been through with your own journey being dyslexic, how has that shaped how you parent your daughter?
Oh man, it's I can't imagine not having the breakthrough and the freedom of realizing the gift that I possess, and that when God created me, He didn't make a mistake, and there was no accident.
Yes.
It was strategic, and it was a part of His plan for my life. And if I didn't have that perspective, what a sad realization I would have for my daughter.
Yes.
And I don't have that. And in fact, when Avery was first diagnosed in kindergarten and she was held back, and that's when we were first seeing kind of the signs, and she got the official diagnosis, and my husband was just like, oh no. I mean, he was just, this is a man who's never made a B in his life. Literally never made a B. And
Sound
he's
like my wife.
very gifted intellectually, very analytical, very a different, beautiful, bright mind.
Yes.
Our minds work different.
Yeah,
We make
yeah.
a great team,
Sure.
as I'm sure you and your wife do. So his first instinct was, oh my gosh. And I looked at him and I was like, Eric, she's been given a gift. She's going to do this and she's going to do this in her mind, and she's going to, and then all of a sudden my husband was like, wait, oh yeah, well, he was like, and he was tempted for just a second to believe this lie over his own daughter and put a limiting belief on her
Yes.
that would have changed the way he looked at her, would have changed the way he parented her.
Yes.
And in an instant, he, it's like God was like, no,
Yes.
that's not like how we're going to move forward with the destiny of this child. And it was powerful, and he smiled and I smiled, and I was like, oh, her future is bright. And so it's been a process, and she's 15 years old now.
Okay.
Of just these really cool conversations, and taking her to the filming
Yes.
that you invited
Yes,
me to,
yes,
where
yes,
we
yes.
she gets to see what's happening on a bigger stage with
Okay.
the conversation of dyslexia in the world. And I remember one of the last things on that film that we watched at the museum that night, somebody, I think it was the mom, who said, the key to cancer might be in the mind of a dyslexic brain.
Yes.
That's
Yes.
right. That's
Yes.
like, there's so
Yes.
many gifts, there's so many things with a neurodiverse mind, whether it's dyslexia or autism
Yes.
or whatever we're
Yes.
talking about. We don't really live in a society
That supports it,
that supports,
undergirded.
that understands the abilities and the giftings, and sets our children up on a path of success, right?
Yes.
In so many aspects, it's really the opposite of that. And so having the freedom and the power to understand what it really is,
Yes.
and then to raise up my daughter with that knowledge,
Yes.
is everything.
Okay. Ginger Marie Curtis.
Bravo.
Yeah, I know your whole name. On paper, your life doesn't make sense and it doesn't add up. In a good way.
Yes.
In a good way.
That's right.
Okay. You start off, just like I said, going back to third grade. But obviously you've had hardships in your family, with your brother, one of your brothers, your sister. I even recount one situation with your finances being so low in your family. You and your sister had to share a stick of butter out the refrigerator because that's all you all had to eat.
Yep.
You've been through so much in your life. And then if we fast forward now to that bubbly Ginger, where at the beginning I had you look at those photos and you just see, there it is again. All the confidence in the world.
Yes.
Your design aesthetic is second to none. The current Ginger that's an author, speaker, successful wife, successful mother. You just won another award. I saw on Instagram. All these things, being a thought leader in neuroaesthetics. What would you say to young Ginger Curtis that's in the third grade?
I think first I would just hug her. I think I would hug her, and I would tell her that she was worthy. I believe because that I felt stupid, that I was unworthy to be in the room,
Yes.
to be at the school, to have conversations I felt like I constantly had to hide from. And I would look at her and I would say, you are going to do great things, and there's nothing that's going to stop you. And I would remind her that she can do all things through Christ.
Yes.
All things. Because He is the source of our strength,
Yes.
salvation and inspiration, and the foundation of my faith.
Yes.
And that baby version of Ginger Marie Curtis and that faith that I had back then is the same faith that carries me today.
Yes.
But man, what would it have been like to have one person to look at me and to come alongside me and to say a teaspoon of encouragement. You know, I think I
Yes.
was really growing up in a big family, growing up in abuse, growing up in poverty. There was a lack of that.
Yes.
There was a lack of encouragement, and there was nobody to point at me and call out who I was.
Yes.
And I feel like when I raise my children, and I especially look at Avery, and I see the woman inside her, and I see that fierce, beautiful, godly, amazing, gifted, articulate, talented,
Yes.
compassionate, and I want to, pour into her and say, Avery, there is this mantle,
Yes.
and there's this gift that God has put into you, and it is my job to call that out and to steward your bright and incredible future. And so I think that's what I wish I might have had, maybe a teaspoon of that.
Yes. And then just in general, what would you say to other dyslexics that will watch this? Other people that are in different ages and stages of people that maybe haven't accepted the gift that they're dyslexic. People that want to be an entrepreneur, but they don't know where to get started, how to get started. Just in general, what would you say to other dyslexics that are watching?
You have a gift. You have a gift. First of all, you have such a gift, and embrace it. And it is powerful and it is mighty. And you need to stop believing every single lie that either you have put on yourself or other people have been on you, because that will limit you. It's called a limiting belief.
Like you started, that's your camera. If you want to look right into that camera, go ahead.
Go ahead. And that's
go
because
ahead,
somebody's watching
go
this
ahead.
who needs to hear that. And that limiting belief will hold you hostage, and you have to believe that it's a lie. That limiting belief will do one thing. It will keep you from having your foot cross that threshold and taking that first step. And sometimes there's somebody who needs to hear that. You just need to take that first step. There is breakthrough, and God rewards and honors faithfulness.
Yes.
And faith is moving and walking into something that you cannot see, and that requires trust and obedience. And I would also say, just from a practical perspective of the things that would really trip me up, I would look at the whole entire big picture of something, and I would get really overwhelmed. And what I have learned is to acknowledge I'm feeling overwhelmed and to not give up and say, break it down.
Yep.
Okay, I've got 10
Yep.
steps. What's point 5 of the first step? And that's been really powerful and
Chunking it
really
down.
just a
Yep,
little
chunk.
chunk. I would be working on an English assignment in college, and I would call my sister's boyfriend, who was an English major, and he was the first one to see how I was stressed. And it was
Gotcha.
so natural.
Yes.
And he was like, wow, Ginger is totally overwhelmed. He said, start with the first sentence, not the first paragraph.
Yep.
I was
Yeah.
like the world unlocked for me, because I was looking at the beginning, the
Yep,
middle,
yep,
the end. And I'm a big picture thinker.
Yes.
I like to
Yep,
tackle.
yep,
I like
yep.
to tackle the big. But when I get overwhelmed, paring that problem down and simplifying it was a real tangible, practical step for me.
So I just want to thank you so much for your time. I honor you. I appreciate you. You're doing a wonderful work all over the country, and I won't be surprised when things start happening internationally for you too. When you start getting calls, because yes,
I claim that.
yes,
I claim
yes.
that. I love that you said that, and thank you so much for honoring me. And I'm getting emotional just even hearing those words. It means a lot. There's been a lot of fight, right? And I think the sort of the anthem through all of that and through all the perseverance is the question that God asks me every time I'm in one of those fiery trials, whether it was third grade Ginger,
Yes.
repeating the third grade for 3 times, whether it was a cancer diagnosis of my daughter or a cancer diagnosis of myself or whatever was happening. He said to me, and he says to me this day, Ginger, is it happening to you or is it happening for you?
Wow.
Woo! And because we serve a God who is so good and is so faithful, and he says, I will use all things to the good
Yes.
of those who love me and are called according to my
Yes.
purpose. It is impossible that the fiery trials that I face and that you face do not happen and are not planned for our own good, for
Yes.
our refining, for our strength, for the plans that he has for other people in our life, for
Yes.
building out communities. And I so believe from the bottom of my heart that the things that I have faced and the things that I will face, they are coming.
Yes.
Did I tell you that I have 5 children? You even said
Yeah,
it.
yeah.
5 kids. life is not a bed of roses. It's going to rain, it's going to storm, but then guess what? The clouds are going to dissipate and the sun's going to come out. And it's those moments and these areas of your life. It gives you such great joy and appreciation and perspective. And then it allows you to walk through the storms and through the trials knowing that there's purpose and that there's good behind that.
Come on.
That is powerful. I can get through anything. I can get through anything. You can get through anything. We can accomplish anything when that is the power that is living inside of us. And so I face the world every day and I get up every single day not with fear and trepidation. That is a gift. Because I know a lot of people around me who get up every day and they put their feet on the ground and they are overwhelmed. And they're full of fear and full of anxiety. And that is not from God, because God does not give us a spirit of fear.
Power. Love.
That's right. And sound mind. That's right.
All right, Ginger. So now, per usual, on this platform, we want to also not talk with our guests, but we want our guests to show us what they have successfully been able to create. So Ginger's going to give us a tour of her design studio firm. So stay tuned.
So we're a luxury interior design firm based here in Dallas-Fort Worth, but we do projects all over the country and beyond. In fact, most of our projects are out of state. And so we specialize in new construction, new build, renovation, anything with furnishings, decor. We also do commercial projects. Let me give you a tour of our space. We're standing in the loft. This is the urbanology sort of think tank where a lot of the magic happens. And so it's very kind of collaborative, what we do, and that's what makes it fun. People come to urbanology because they're looking to defy the status quo. They see the rinse, copy, repeat. They see the kind of plug and play design of sort of mass America, and it doesn't feel authentic. It doesn't feel personal or unique to them, and it feels like it's been overdone. And so I think they look at our portfolio and what we do and what we're putting out in the world, and it not only has staying power, meaning it's not going to trend out or go out of style in a few years. It's got so much soul and depth and creativity. It's not a single design style that you can necessarily put your finger on, and that's really, really exciting for us, and it's exciting for our clients because they're going to get a home that every time they open the door, they feel something. And it's the combination of the thoughtfulness behind neuroaesthetics, the science behind design, how we do space planning, how we bring in color and texture, how we source one-of-a-kind, beautiful objects from all over the world, and we put together homes that are not just a place to go to sleep at night and wake up, but a place to actually live, to dwell, homes that bring down levels of anxiety, that provoke amazing conversation, that are built and meant for entertaining people. It's the place that we live, and we spend any more time on the entire planet, but in our homes, and so they should be incredible. So we're just off the heels of winning HGTV Designer of the Year as a huge national award, and so that's really exciting. Just that like a bigger presence nationally, and so we're really expanding across and past the four walls of Texas. We've got more out-of-state projects than ever, from the East Coast to the West Coast, from a ski chalet in Montana to a luxury lake house on an island in North Carolina. I mean, some really, really, really fun stuff. As a designer, it's kind of a dream to get to have incredible clients who sort of hand over the reins of creative freedom and say, show us what you got. And then we kind of roll up our sleeves and put the creative elbow grease out there, and that's exactly what we do.